You guys might disagree with me listening at home, but I don't think it would have been appropriate for me to say something.
Could be appropriate for you to say something if you say it in a gentle, cautionary, stepping away kind of tone. Just like every time you say a word, you have to like physically like let her know like I'm not trying to be weird. I just want to let you know there's a hole in the back of your pants and it's kind of exposing you. I wasn't looking, but my eyes saw it, and I just want to let you know. Just give you the heads up.
To me, that's too weird. Am I wrong, guys? I don't know.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Guys, welcome back to Oops, the podcast. Another action-packed episode coming your way. The boys sitting here ripping it, doing it big. Giulio Gallerati, joined by big, bulky, jacked Ryan Lynch. 165 pounds of Aryan Hammer coming your way. Here he is.
What an intro. My golly, I'm blushing.
What's
good
up,
to
my
see
boy?
you.
Good to see you. Looking good.
Thank you.
Let's get right into it, man. Something pretty fucking funny happened in a workout class the other day. I don't want to disclose too much specific information because we're just sitting here outing people's embarrassing stories from workout classes on the show, apparently. And okay, tell me what the protocol is for this situation. So I'm in some sort of reformer class. I'm not going to disclose where and when. But if you guys are familiar with these sort of classes, there's these sort of machines that you're on, and you do a combination of things. You lay on them, you stand on the ground, whatever. You look in both directions. So I didn't notice this until halfway through the class, but I was on the front row of machines. Directly behind me is a machine, as is for the entire room. Say there's like 10 machines in each row, right? So there's a machine right behind me.
And you're in the very front.
Yeah, but there's only front and back.
Gotcha.
There's only two rows.
So that's a column. Column of two.
No, it's a column of 2, row of 10.
Gotcha.
Symmetrical. So
Gotcha,
they're all
gotcha,
sort of lined up with each other. So we're now on all fours, and we're doing this thing where, I don't know, we're using our leg and pushing back or something. And the girl directly in front of me has a perfect hole along the seam of her pant. So I can literally, I'm just staring inside of her, basically. Mm-hmm. I can see both openings, not very clearly, but they're there. I try to look away, but the perfect technique requires me to have a flat back. And in doing so, I'm staring directly into this hole in this person's pants.
You're looking into her butthole?
Well, her pant hole, which exposes her butthole, and her other hole as well.
That's a big hole if it's exposing both.
But
right?
dude, so it wasn't. But it was small enough that she might not be able to tell. But like we are fully extended. Like the pant seam is being tested at its very core. So check this out. So it's like right now, this is normal. You can't see it. But if I stretch, it starts to open like that. And now I can see inside. Now, it wasn't this open, but it was like that open, if you can see. And this is not a reference to her actual anatomy. This is
because it looks, the hole is made perfectly for the anatomy.
This is the pant. So you can see it all.
Okay.
So obviously I give her privacy and I don't look. I obviously don't say anything. I don't say anything after because that would just be insane. This girl must have been 22, dude. This girl was young. There's no scenario where me, a guy in any way, but specifically an older guy, not that much older, but I'm older than her. I'm an older guy to her. I would never say anything. So I kind of just was like, I let her go into the sunset and hope for her sake that she figured it out. Unless maybe she has some kink where she knows about it and she wants people to see.
It's pretty young to know what you're into.
And I mean, no, it's not. Do you think 22 is too young?
I don't know anymore. I don't know.
Ryan did not discover any of his kinks until his mid to late 20s. But that's okay, Ryan. That's your truth.
Thank you. Okay, continue.
Sorry. So, is there a person who is permissible to say something to her? If I were like a young girl, if I'm an older woman, is there a person who's allowed to say something to her?
A stranger?
Yes.
That's allowed to?
As far as like society's concerned. Because I don't know, you guys might disagree with me listening at home, but I don't think it would have been appropriate for me to say something.
No. And even you could argue, like, I could even argue that it could be appropriate for you to say something if you say it in a gentle, like, cautionary, stepping away kind of tone. Just like every time you say a word, you have to, like, physically, like, let her know, like, I'm not trying to be weird, but I can see your butthole. I don't think you can pull that off.
That's weird.
Saying that?
But your butthole. You can't talk about I can't talk about the specific things I'm seeing.
You're like, excuse me, I just want to let you know there's a hole in the back of your pants and it's kind of exposing you. I wasn't looking, but my eyes saw it, and I just want to let you know, just give you the heads up.
To me, that's too weird. Am I wrong, guys? I don't know.
Well, then.
So okay. Let's go even more conservative. What about this? Hey, I noticed for literally half a second, and then I looked down, but I noticed there maybe is a little, like a hole in your pants that you probably wouldn't be able to see unless you were in a specific situation like that.
You're explaining too much. You're explaining too much. You know, I think we're overthinking it. I think you totally could say something. You're just like, hey, there's a rip in your pants. You might want to check that out. And just say that.
That's good.
There's a rip in your pants. You might want to check it out.
I was not looking, I swear.
Because I did. And yeah.
No, you can even say that. Because then you're like, I swear to God, I didn't look. You know, but there's a hole.
Well, here's the thing. You don't even need to say that I swear to God I didn't even look, because she's probably going to check while standing up, and she's not going to be able to pinpoint together that when she's bending over that hole is showing her orifices. So by the time that she goes to check and see what's being exposed, she's probably in a bathroom and you're gone. Like it's not like she's going to check right there in front of you like what was exposed. So you can just say, "Hey, I saw your pants." Like just so you know, your pants you have a hole in your pants. It's in the back, and just want to let you know.
I don't know, dude. Because then it means that if I say only that, first of all, she's embarrassed. The entire class went by and she had that hole. So that's bad.
But it's not your fault you saw the hole.
Of course it's not. But it might be better for her to not be sure if anybody saw anything and hopefully notice the hole. Or just like, dude, it's not I have no skin in the game here. Like,
she does, though.
She literally does. And if I say something, it's just so hard to not make her feel uncomfortable and to say it in a way where I don't seem weird. Because what did you just say? That came off as creepy to me. When you were like brief about it, that's I think the best one we've come up with. Mm-hmm. That was our best one.
Just like, hey, you got to rip in your pants, just letting you know.
You got to rip it. Yeah, got to rip in your pants, just letting you know. But yeah, dude, like,
but she should feel uncomfortable no matter what. There's no way of her getting through this situation, resolving it without feeling bad about it.
No,
and it's not her fault.
A man staring into her vagina is really bad, and she knows that for a fact. If I say something, potentially, or can be more certain of it. Whereas she might not even think of it. She might think it happened on the walk home. No one said anything. No one acted weird. She doesn't know. Pants are done. Maybe she puts them in the wash and she notices. Ooh.
But maybe she doesn't.
Maybe she doesn't, and she keeps going.
Maybe she's the woman in this the reformer class that consistently is showing up in ripped pairs of leggings, and no one has had the fortitude to say something to her about it. Maybe she needs to be told. When
I go back in there, I'm going to go to the manager and I'm going to say, hey, so I took the 9 a.m. class on Tuesday. The girl from Reformer 12, do you know what class she's taking next?
I want to reserve a space right behind her.
Hey, by the way, you have a rip in your pants. I wasn't sure, so I made sure I looked really closely. And
I can confirm.
You keep it so tidy down there, by the way. I mean, it was really nice to look at, but...
Do you have a bidet?
Dude, I started telling Hillary the story, and she was like... And I was like, I didn't say anything. She's like, oh my God, Julia, Jesus. I was like, you think I would say something?
Ugh.
But is there a person who can say something? Say that I'm not completely convinced that you're wrong about the fact that I could have said something. Mm-hmm. I'm not completely convinced. I'm still leaning strongly in the direction that it would be hard to do properly and is not worth it and is potentially completely inappropriate.
Okay, so we're basically trying to pick not what's the best option, but like what's not the worst option. There's only bad ways to go about this. So what's worse? Being one guy letting her know that her pants are ripped, or two, bringing in another person to tell her that. So now there's 3 people that are involved.
Okay, so I think that bringing another person in personally is too much. I was just saying, who would have had to be on my machine for it to be appropriate to tell her? Because the chances are I was the only person who saw this. The only position that it would have been possible to see this on her was mine. Because if she's laying on her back, no one can see that way. I'm in front of her. So I'd have to be looking backward to notice what's going on. On the side, you wouldn't have noticed it either. So the only person who would have seen it is me when we were on all fours and I was looking straight in her direction. So I'm the only person who saw it. So who would have had to be on my machine for it to be appropriate to say something? What type of person? Is there anyone?
I think we could both like. I'm trying not to think too much about it, and I think we're thinking too much about it. I think anybody could say something if you just say it cool and chill.
But there's a person who can be looking out for her in a way that I can't do because it seems like I'm being a creep. So this girl was really attractive too, by the way, which I don't know why somehow makes it worse.
Okay, well then I think the safest options, like if we were playing Family Feud, as to like who would you want to tell you that there's a rip in your butt crack? I think number 1 would be like a woman,
older woman,
like menopause,
a mom figure,
menopause mom. Maybe number 2 would be like a gay guy.
Wow, I didn't even think of that.
And
is that better than one of her peers?
You're right.
Possibly.
He'd
possibly.
Be on, no.
I wasn't saying is.
He'd be on the board. I don't think he's the second best option. So we have menopause mom, or just an older woman.
Grandma.
Gay guy would be on the board.
Maybe
let's say there's
like
4, like a top 4.
Okay, let's say this girl's 23. What about like a 35-year-old girl? She'd probably be second. I'd say the peer is like third because the peer is the peer. So like it's embarrassing for your peer to see that.
Yeah.
Okay, what's worse? Person you know or guy you don't know? Girl you know or guy you don't know? Probably girl you know. Your friend can tell you. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, probably. What about girl you don't know versus guy you do know?
Wow.
Probably girl you don't know.
So the girls that I know who I'm friends with, I could tell them that and it wouldn't be weird. I'd be like, you have a hole in your pants. I have.
That's exactly how you say it to the stranger.
You have a hole in your pants.
You have a hole in your pants. That's it. That's what you say. And you say it just like that. It's the best way you could say it. I know we're deciding whether or not to say it, but if you were to say it, that's the best way to say it, the way you just said it.
But dude, fine. But how? Like you and I are in the middle of the class. You have a hole in your pants. You can't do that. After class, I go up to her. You have a hole in your pants. Walk away.
You wait till after class, I think. You'll ruin her workout if you tell her in between. I've never been to a reformer class, so I don't know how that works. But like you would ruin her life if you tell her in the beginning.
You can't tell her.
But you tell her after class, she goes home.
Yeah, there is, dude. You know what's funny? You're right. There might be a way to do this where you're not intending to, but then she's in love with you for the rest of her life. Or you're like, hey, you have a hole in your pants. I didn't want to be weird about it, but you do. I wasn't looking. I just thought you should know. Anyway, sorry. That was weird, but I'll see you later.
Yeah.
She's like, who the fuck was that? Who is Mr. Prince Charming who just rode in and out of my life on a white horse of legging news? Prince Colorado.
I don't know. This was last week?
This was recently, yes.
Interesting.
This was recently.
Who would be just entertain me for a moment. Who would be the top 3 on Family Feud worst people to tell you that there is a hole in the back of your leggings?
Dude who thinks you're hot.
Dad.
Your physical dad.
Your dad. Would that be the worst?
No, but it's not great. Dad's not great, but I don't think it's the bottom 3. But I don't know, like dad's probably on the board and it's funny, but like how bad does he, like is the board the worst or the best? If the board's the worst.
The board, so like 1 is the worst or the most popular pick of worst.
Yeah, it would need to be
people
worst.
to see your butt.
Okay, so dad's on there, creepy dudes. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't need to
let's step away from this game.
On.
This is heading towards dangerous territory.
Dude, I saw something pretty funny though. Speaking of creepy guys in Delhi the other morning, he wasn't really a creepy guy, but it was kind of funny. So we're in this deli. This guy is sort of this jacked, probably 40-something guy, had a sort of a hard quote bridge and tunnel vibe. Okay. Like he was really jacked. He looked like he was taking steroids. He was kind of short, compact, had cool tattoos. He looked like a cool dude. And he's FaceTiming with some woman who seemed like his girlfriend or whatever, wife, blah, blah, blah. And he's FaceTiming with her really loud in the deli amongst everybody. And he's like buying a coffee. There's 10 of us waiting to buy coffees. It's sort of a bold move, but nobody seems upset about it. He's like, yeah, what are you doing? What are you doing? He's on FaceTime. He's talking to her. And she's like, oh, do you like the pants? Like, do you like? And he's like, what pants? He goes, you not wearing any pants? And everybody in the fucking deli starts cracking up, dude. And the guy turns around and he might as well have winked at all of us.
Really?
Dude, it was so fucking funny. While he's on FaceTime with the girl, and she can't see what he's, because he has the phone down, and he's like, yeah, but what, you're not wearing any pants? And he just turns around and he goes, at all. And dude, like, a diverse group of people all cracking up thinking that this is just hilarious. Like, we weren't laughing at the guy either. We were laughing with him. It was such a preposterous thing at 8 o'clock in the morning. It was just a really nice New York moment.
That's lovely.
It was really lovely.
For everybody to be on board with a raunchy morning joke or just bit.
Which is like kind of disrespectful, but she obviously liked it. She likes that he's like this. She maybe doesn't know that we're all there, but it's harmless. And it's a diverse group. It's like every ethnicity you could imagine, older dudes, younger dudes. We're all sitting there cracking up at this guy suddenly. Either smiles or light chuckles, and the guy's like,
that's great, dude. That's so beautiful.
Fucking beautiful, dude.
That's amazing.
NY to the sea, baby.
There's few things better than showing up to the gym and having your pick of the litter and all the equipment and the machines. But sometimes when I go to the gym, it's very busy. You don't have the luxury of just using whatever you want whenever you want.
And that's the most frustrating thing, because like if you want to plan your workout, it's so difficult to do if you like are using a popular item and you want to use it at a specific time. You're going to end up having too big of breaks between your things. It's hard to pivot. And I think about that as a trainer, how stressful that must be, trying to arrange a workout for your client. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh God, this gives me anxiety. Well, dude, the nice thing about FitBod is that if you have an exercise plan that requires a specific piece of equipment, you can just quickly hit a button and change that exercise, hitting the same muscles. So you can just be like, okay, alternate. And like, you can find another thing in the gym that you might not have thought of because you're panicking, because you're like, oh my God, my workout isn't going to happen. Oh my God, what? And all of a sudden you have a different exercise that you can do, and it's easy to pivot on the fly. And that's what I love the most about FitBod, is how adaptable it is. Whether I'm in a hotel gym that just has dumbbells and a treadmill, or if I'm in the most state-of-the-art gym that exists, FitBod can plan a workout for me based on what I have in front of me. And it makes my workouts diverse and different. And it gives me a lot of inspiration to work out hard.
Yeah, FitBod helps you find a way.
Yes.
You walk into the gym, someone's using equipment that you wanted to start with. Without FitBod, you feel deterred and it's daunting, and then you give up because you don't get to start the way that you wanted to. With FitBod, it doesn't matter what the circumstances are. They're going to set you up for success, and you're going to get the most perfect workout possible out of it because they know all the equipment you have available to.
And these are principles that should be applied to life, because sometimes you set out to complete a big task, and once you're finished with the task, what you finished might not be specifically what you thought it would be, but that's how this all works, right? If it was easy, everybody would do it. Working out's just like business, just like anything, in that you need to be consistent. You need to sort of roll with the punches, and make changes when you need to adapt, and you need to get it done. And that's why FitBod's here for you.
Yeah, we love FitBod. You can get 25% off your subscription or try the app free at fitbod.me/oops. That's FITBOD.me/oops. Can't recommend it enough, guys. If you're working out, check out FitBod. All right, dude, I want to talk about this before too much time passes. So last week, somebody passed out at Black Cat, Danny's show.
In the middle of the show?
In the middle of the show. And I have a question about kind of how to deal with a scenario like this. So we're about maybe 45 minutes into the show. I think 3 people have gone up so far. And it was a packed crowd. It was really awesome. But in so being so packed, it was a little warm and it was hot. And I think people in the back were getting overwhelmingly hot, and to the point where, passing out was an unlikely yet possible option. And so
Wait. So, but still, like if it gets hot, and how hot are we talking? I mean, it's not a sauna. It's getting hot. People are taking off layers, but still, passing out is not. You're not like, oh God, someone might pass out. You know what I mean?
okay, fair.
Unless it was. I'm just like,
No, I'm not thinking to myself like, ooh, when's somebody going to pass out?
right. But now in retrospect, you're like, ooh, like maybe it was getting hot in there. Maybe the stars did align.
Yes.
Okay.
Regardless, it was a packed crowd, and the more people, the warmer it is.
Right.
Not thinking anything more than, wow, it's packed. That's
Right.
great. So about 4 comics in, and somebody's in the middle of her set, and this guy is at the counter. I think he's ordering a glass of wine or a drink, and then in 3 parts of this sequence, he hits his head.
So, by the way, sorry, this man's standing at Black Cat. You have to get up and go to order. You can't like order at your table.
Correct.
Okay.
So he's at the counter and he's ordering his drink, and next thing you know, he kind of jumps up and then he slams his head down on the counter as he's falling. So it seemed like he passed out on the jump. He slams his head on the counter hard. Then he falls back and hits the back of his head
God.
against the only pillar
Yeah.
in the fucking venue, like the only thing that is in the way, obstructing the space from being completely cleared. So he slams his face against the counter, bashes the back of his head against the pillar, and then bashes the back of his head again, hitting the ground.
This pillar is like rock. It's like the hardest possible thing. It's not like a wood pillar. It was a hard cement pillar. And behind it, there's like a couch, whatever,
Yeah.
which could have also been bad, but this is probably the hardest thing he could have hit.
I'd argue probably the worst thing you could
Yeah.
hit your head against in the entire space. So the guy hits his head the 3rd time. There's a loud amongst the crowd. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Everyone's trying to help, but there's no nurses. Nobody knows what to do. And he's laying down for like, I don't know, a minute. And then eventually sits back up. And then the show continued, I think, maybe 3 minutes after he passed out, which was very quick.
Same comic?
Same comic. She went back up. I don't remember her name, but she resurrected the show in ways that I was in awe of. Because if I was on stage during that, as green as I am, I would have just been like, I don't know if we can do the show anymore. So she was and obviously she stated that this has never happened when I was talking to her afterwards. So she was great thinking on her feet, but this guy hit his head so damn hard. It got to the point where, I think the audience was potentially considering, is the show over? Do we evacuate? Like, vibes are dead. And so he eventually got up and he ended up being okay, which was great.
Did he stay at the show?
He ended up staying at the show. And I think he got a couple more drinks. Like, I think his girlfriend or sister, whoever he was with, was getting drinks and bringing them back. And he walked out totally fine.
Did they like say this happens to him all the time? Don't worry.
No. I think they said that, like, he just got hot and passed out.
Was he like overweight?
Not really, dude. He's just a normal dude. Not that an overweight person passing out is less scary than any other person, but it was just so much more out of the blue. He's not epileptic. At least, she didn't say that to anybody in hopes of like anyone that was related to somebody could have some sort of knowledge that would assist that particular issue. It was just weird.
So when you said he initially jumped?
Yeah. So
He
I
jumped in the air.
So for my peripheral vision, I saw the guy standing, and then he was above.
So he just
where he was standing.
He pushed his chest up. He went up, but he didn't like literally jump.
It seemed like
He was possessed momentarily.
it seemed like he would, like, the best way I would describe it was just like a tiny little leap, as if he was like jumping on a jump rope.
Right.
I don't know what he was doing with his hands or anything. I just see out of my peripheral, the guy that's at the bar is slightly above where he was before, and then just collapsed. Slam, bam, bam.
Slam, bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. And it was hard, and like the noise, even if you weren't looking, you could tell it was a loud, just a painful, violent fall.
You are supposed to go to the hospital when you hit your head like that.
Yeah,
So you can die in your sleep.
I figured that'd be the case. So my question to you and all that, I think he's okay. He was okay. The night continued, and it was a fantastic show. But my question to you is, in that moment, before you find out whether or not the person's okay, before you find out if they're epileptic or if they have any preconditioned, if they have any issues or anything like that, do you call the police as a bystander, or do you kind of wait and see how he's doing for a couple of minutes?
Well, I mean, I don't think you would call the police though. You call like an ambulance, right?
I think you have to call is there a specific phone number for
I don't
an
know,
ambulance?
But doesn't 911 dispatch the appropriate person? Like, I don't think the police are going to come for that.
No,
Unless
but
I'm wrong.
I think you call the police and then they will send an ambulance.
Really?
I don't know. I've never done it, but I'm like, you put a gun to my head, I would and said, get us an ambulance, I would call the police.
Oh, to me, 911, I don't know the answer to this either, but to me, 911, you call for any of those, any emergency needs, whether it requires the police or the ambulance or whatever. But whatever, sure.
Wait, I think we're on the same page. You call 911.
No, but 911 to me doesn't mean the police. But maybe it does.
So I typed in phone number for an ambulance. Just generic, that's what people would Google. And it says emergency medical services, and then it's a long phone number. I think you just type in 911.
Yeah.
We're on the same page. But we're not, though. I don't know why we're not clicking.
No, this is just like, it doesn't matter. Like, we're getting the same outcome from what we're talking about, but we have a different idea of what is happening when we're calling. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
So, all right, that doesn't matter. So you're saying, would I call 911 or would I do nothing? Is the question.
Yes.
I would probably call 911 just because, and now look, I may not have in the moment the way that nobody there did. Maybe that happened for a reason. They didn't want to overreact. They didn't want to be, somehow you worry that you're doing something wrong by doing that. But I don't think that anybody's on the hook if they come. So for example, if this guy didn't want to go to the hospital, he doesn't have to. And by not getting in the ambulance, I don't think he has to pay. I also am not clear on, okay, no, sorry, because Max was telling us about this, but Max got assaulted. When you get assaulted, your ambulance ride is free. Mm-hmm. But if you just pass out, I don't think it is. So if this guy didn't want to pay for his ambulance, I'm not totally sure what would happen there. If he didn't call it, I don't think he's on the hook for it. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you're doing anything wrong. And I think that worst case scenario, you're like, dude, this guy smashed his head on the counter and then he hit the back of his head on a pole. I called 911. Fucking sue me. I think it's a very reasonable choice. But I also understand not doing it. Mm-hmm. You don't know this fucking guy.
Yeah.
And why doesn't someone else call 911? You kind of just hope that someone else is going to make the decision if you are too afraid to make it yourself.
And what is that? That's the bystander effect?
Is that what it is?
I believe, and I think that's what it is, but I'm asking.
I don't know.
Not in like a, I know what it is, and I'm filling everybody in with the rhetorical. That's what that means, right? Yeah. No, I think that's what that is. But yeah, when it happened, I typed in 911 and I waited. And then it just seemed like an ambulance wasn't necessary. But that was the question I had. I was curious.
Did you hit dial and hung up, or you didn't hit it?
I didn't hit it.
You typed it in.
I typed it and I waited.
Have you ever called 911 before?
Yes. My roommate, my sophomore year of college, had a seizure.
Oh my God.
And I walked in, and I walked into him having the seizure, and then I called the police, tossed my phone to my friend, and I had to hold him as he was in the shower falling and having his seizure.
Jesus. Did he have seizures?
He has seizures. And I think every time, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I think every time you have a seizure, your driver's license is suspended for 6 months. Could be a year, but I think it's 6 months.
Shout out to my boy Jackson. He is a man who gets seizures from time to time. I think it's been a while since he's had one. Mm-hmm. I think he had one sort of recently, but he's been on a much better stretch than maybe when he was younger, because he's kind of figured out some tricks or techniques. But he, I think, is not supposed to be driving. And I'm not sure if that's an ongoing thing. At what point it becomes ongoing, or to your point, at what point it's like, if you have one, you need to take a break from driving. But I'd be curious to know the answer to that too.
Yeah.
But it's really scary to see someone having a seizure, right?
It is. But here's the crazy thing. So he at this point in time, he's a new friend, and he transferred schools. He just moved into our dorm. We don't really know each other, but we're friendly and good vibes. We all went to Rhode Island to go to a casino one night. And before we went to the casino, while we were all sitting around on the couch, he said to us, he's like, hey guys, just so you know, I have seizures from time to time. I'm epileptic. And, something about like not drinking enough water triggers me. And, obviously flashing
Being
lights and
hungover, I've
strobe.
heard.
Yeah, so not having enough water and things like that, it kind of triggers it. So just want to give you the heads up. If I ever were to have a seizure and you're like right by me, just like hold me so that I don't like bite my tongue or like hurt myself more than I already probably will. And he told us that, and we're all like, okay, all right, let's go. We go to the casino. We come back. The next morning, I wake up at like 7 o'clock in the morning to a slamming sound in the shower.
God.
I run out of my little pod bedroom. We're in like a 3-bedroom with like a communal area that's connected to a bathroom. And I run in, and he's leaning against the wall, butt naked in the shower, water running, and he's having a seizure. And it's so crazy that the night before he had it, he told us exactly
Thank
what
God,
to do.
right? Would you have been way more freaked out if he didn't?
I would not have known what to do. And it was really scary, and I'm sure it's embarrassing and it's a very vulnerable thing. I mean, like, I'm in the shower, I'm holding my buddy, and he's naked, not aware what's going on, and it's a terrible thing.
Did you like put a towel over him?
Once he stopped, it was weird. He was
Because
in
it takes him a sec to come to or whatever?
Yeah, so I hear the noise. I walk into the bathroom because it was a loud bang. I see him leaning against like our standing shower area, and I just kind of grab him and bring him to the ground. And if he didn't tell us that, I probably wouldn't have touched him because I just wouldn't have known what to do. I'd be like, are you okay? I would have tried talking to him, not being aware that he doesn't know what's going on right now. He's knocked out or zonked or whatever. So I got into the shower. I had my phone. I pressed 911, tossed to my friend Jesse. All the other guys got up. Everyone was, prepared for the paramedics to come and everything. I hold him. He probably was like having a seizure or spazzing out for 30 seconds. And then we put a towel around him once he started to calm down, and we just kind of sat with him. And then the paramedics came and they took him away.
Crazy.
But like, he told us the night before.
It's crazy.
And he wasn't telling, he's not like an overly cautious person. He just casually mentioned, he's like, guys, I have seizures. Like, this is what you do. It was like a cool way of like saying how to like he was like a cool safety guide about it.
Seeing somebody have a seizure is one of the scariest things that you experience for someone else because they don't know what they look like or what's happening to them. Like during COVID, this happened to one of my like very good friends. Him and his girlfriend both took mushrooms, and dude, I don't know how much they took or what the deal was, but at some point she goes, I don't feel that good. And he goes, I don't either. And she was sort of like already sitting on the ground, and she kind of like slumped over, and he was sitting on a high stool. This is a big guy. He fell out of it and just hit the floor and was fully convulsing. And she was down too. She wasn't like also shaking, but they went down at the exact same moment. And it was the most freaky thing I've ever seen. I did not take them, but I was like a little baked, and like it made it much more intense of a thing. And like for 45 seconds, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, because he's not a guy who has seizures either, which makes it a little scarier. It's scary either way. But anyway, so that stands out to me as like a really fucked up moment.
Yeah.
But he ended up being completely fine.
Well, yeah, not knowing probably to you, witnessing that opens up the possibilities of it being more than a seizure, in which it's even more scary.
Right. Like
but regardless,
what's happening?
It's terrifying.
Yeah. Like you're seeing your friend be reduced to like just a piece of convulsing meat.
Yeah.
Their personality's gone. They're just flopping around like a fish. It's fucked up, dude.
Sad stuff.
I hate to see it. You hate to see it. Well, anyway, how do we even get on
Let's swing
that?
over to something new.
Oh, we were talking about dudes passing out. That guy should have gone to the hospital. But,
Yeah.
Hopefully he's fine.
Danny was so concerned about the show not continuing.
Of course he was.
He's like, he's fine. He's fine.
Danny's like,
everybody,
dude,
he's fine.
Why are you passing out at my show, dude? Right, dude, it's Friday night, dude. Why are you ruining the vibe? Everybody came here. Like, I only have 2 nights a week to do stuff, dude.
Knock yourself out somewhere else.
Classic. Everything's gonna be fine, guys. Anyway.
No, the show is saved. and it was a good time. Besides that,
Dude, so I was thinking about pet peevery. There's this place in the neighborhood that's has really good food, and I go there all the time. I will continue to, but they have one of those registers where like they flip it around, you pay, it asks you if you want a tip, but it's not like a service restaurant. And guys, I don't want to seem like a person who doesn't tip. I tip all the time. I know the Uber conversation was the thing that was controversial. I tip. I'm a tipper, but when I pick up food, I don't tip. I'm sorry. I don't think that that's a thing. If but they don't make enough money, the fucking restaurant should pay them more then. I'm sorry. Anyway, so whatever. I'm doing takeout. I pay. Do you want a tip? I don't tip. And it shouldn't be a big deal. But the guy looks around at the screen as I press the button. I think he just wants to make sure it's like working. But like it's fucked up to have somebody watch you hit no tip. Mm-hmm. And I hate that. I'm like, dude, can you just let me not tip you in privacy, please? You know what I mean?
No, I hear that. I have a diabolical habit when it comes to the iPad tipping. So I go to coffee shops a lot, and I have a local shop. I'll tip every once in a while when I go, and that's just whatever. They know, like, we know each other. They say, "Hey, Rye," and things like that. It's a good vibe. That's nice, and whatever. But like sometimes,
agreed. By the way,
yeah,
I do that too.
But like sometimes I can see the barista watching me when it comes to that part of the purchasing process in terms of the tipping screen. So they usually have 3 icons on the top with a percentage, like let's say 15, 20, 25%. And then the bottom row is broken up into 2 boxes where it says custom tip and no tip. Mm-hmm. And I will make my finger look like I'm going towards like 20% while clicking no tip with my other finger. And that's not cool, but like I just like can't deal with an interaction like what you just had, in which the person is like, this guy's not tipping. And that's not necessarily saying that's what he was trying to do, but I just get so uncomfortable. I'm very socially awkward like that. But I want them to like me.
I try to get back to the neutral transaction screen before I flip it back around. So I'll like act like I haven't pressed it or like it hasn't worked yet. And I'm like, to hope that it gets back to neutral before we flip it back over.
Yeah. Do you collect points? Do you put your phone number in and then it's like, you got 25 stars today?
It depends. Sometimes.
Things like that. Sometimes when, sometimes at the coffee shop, the person that orders in front of me, in the time between them leaving and me ordering, that is still on the screen for them, as in, hey, put your phone number in to collect points for this order. I will go over and before I place my order, I will put my phone number in and I will collect points that belong to their order. And then I'll get more points for my order. And you get a free coffee every once in a while.
That's great.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I race. I'm like ready to go.
One man's trash is another man's treasure.
100%. So
anyway, that's annoying. But I do tip if I'm on like a work meeting and I'm paying and I'm like, I got it. I always tip in front of that person.
That's an attractive. That's
vibes.
An alpha attractive.
Selfish.
That's a good quality.
Selfish, good deedery.
It's okay to be a little selfish.
It is. Okay, so a couple more pet peeves that have come up. One is mine, and another is one that other people have, which I find funny. Mm-hmm. So I hate when people say, "Don't take this the wrong way," and then they don't say anything that could be taken the wrong way. Don't take this the wrong way. I'm like, oh God, what's he about to say about me? And then they say some neutral statement, or they talk about someone else.
Kind of example?
Yeah, dude, don't take this the wrong way, but I feel like it's annoying that like Danny didn't let us post that clip.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why I take that the wrong way.
Exactly. I know people who do that, who they'll say to me, dude, don't take this the wrong way. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, I get like nervous. I'm like, what barrier is about to be broken through? What new perception am I going to have about myself that I never had before that really stops me from just behaving how I normally would? What am I now going to start noticing about myself? And then it just has nothing to do with me.
Because you start going through the Rolodex of things that you don't like about you.
Right. I mean,
in
like,
anticipation
what is
of
he
being prepared
possibly
to hear
going to say?
Feedback about it.
Listen, man, don't take this the wrong way, but et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Don't take this the wrong way. I think Lyft is much more expensive than Uber.
Right.
Like, okay.
Right. Yeah.
Cool.
No, dude. Yeah. It's like, it's crazy. So anyway.
That's an annoying one.
That's mine. But one that I've heard that a lot of people have, which I find fascinating. People hate when people shake their salads in the thing. Like, you know how they put it in a thing that's good for tossing. So say you have your dressing on the side, you pour it in, and then people shake it, and they do this too. They do this motion to try to get it. As if you just go back and forth, it doesn't fully. So you do a circle, and you circle the other way, sideways, back and forth. And there are people that drives them fucking nuts. And I've heard it from like 4 or 5 different people.
Really? Now we're talking about after you purchase the salad, people doing it, like not the person behind the counter. We're talking about who you're with. You both order salads together. This dressing comes in a little side container, and then you see them tossing the salad themselves in that shaking.
Yes,
variation?
like back at their desk in the office or something.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is a corporate grievance, it seems to be.
It drives people crazy.
Fuck off. That one's stupid, dude. It's just a salad, and you have to toss it.
Are you a tosser?
I guess so, yeah. I toss my salad all the time. You know, I think tossing the salad is a sexual innuendo, by the way.
It is.
I think it means eating ass.
It does.
I almost got ejected from a baseball game in high school for saying, "Toss the salad, kid," after my buddy on the team struck out the side.
Oh, you thought
after he threw
you
a
didn't
strikeout.
realize that was like a
I was like,
sexual
"Hey,
thing?
Brendan, toss the salad, kid," because I heard of it,
Yeah.
but I meant toss it as in like the ball. But
Yeah.
the umpire came over, and I got a warning, and I was on the bench, and the coach was mad.
Did you understand why you got the warning?
No.
Did your coach be like, hey?
Yeah. Well,
That-
he
that
thought
means
that I
something
knew.
else.
I think the coach, I really didn't know, but it doesn't matter. I said it. I heard it. But yeah, that's that. Yeah, toss the salad as much as you want.
Toss the salad. Yeah, I mean, that is but I get, what were you, 15 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even get that too. If toss the salad means eating butt, I don't understand the salad part of it.
Yeah. Tom McCaffrey, funny comedian who we should have on sometime, he has a funny joke about that. He's like, who thought of that? He's like, was it just some guy who hated the idea of preparing salad? He's eating some guy's ass, and he's like, man, this is like when you chop up an onion and some tomatoes and you put them in a bowl and shake them for 2 seconds.
That's a good point.
That's the only way I could possibly describe eating my tongue in this guy's asshole right now.
Yeah.
That's pretty gross. But guys, by the way, one of the most slept on but incredible treats nature has to offer is the frozen grape. If you ever find yourself being drawn towards artificial sweets, just remember how impressive fruit is. It just naturally occurs. That's so much better than a thing that was nothing, where there's a fake color, there's a fake this, it's supposed to taste like that, but it isn't really the thing. If you think about it that way, fruit becomes a much more enticing option, even though the artificial shit is way better at like triggering reactions in your brain. Have an orange. But the frozen grape, a great treat. You ever fuck with frozen grape?
I haven't bought much grape since moving out of my childhood home, but it was heavy on rotation when I was living with my parents as a kid. I don't buy grapes.
Do you guys have fruit in your house?
We have plenty.
You have a lot of fruit.
We have plenty
You've
of
mentioned
fruit.
this before.
I had enough. I'm leaving halfway through the week. Victoria's not here this week, and I have bare minimum stuff to get me through the week. I stopped at Whole Foods anyway to get some fresh fruit. You need fresh fruit in the house.
It's great.
All the time. Just bananas.
Good vibe.
It's an easy thing to eat, and it's an easy thing to clean. Do you throw banana peels on the side of the street?
No.
I think you can.
Really?
I think you throw them like on some grass or stuff. I think that's totally fine.
But like, I don't know that anyone would ever enforce you just throwing a banana peel on the street. But is it littering or no?
I don't think it's littering because it's biodegradable.
So I'll tell you this. One time I was eating a hard-boiled egg, and I threw the shell on the sidewalk, and some guy yelled at me.
Interesting.
And I sort of was like being defiant. I was like, whatever. But then in my head, I was like, oh, fuck it. I just like, he's like, oh yeah. He's like, whoever cleans that up after you is going to be, I was thinking in my head, I was like, but what, it's biodegradable. Isn't like
just disappears.
Isn't some like rodent going to eat it or something? But then I'm like, oh, I guess that's part of the problem too. I shouldn't be feeding the rodents, even though they're going to find food anyway.
Yeah.
Dude, did I talk about this yet? I take this gentle yoga class. There's a lot of old people in the class.
No.
One thing I hate in workout classes is when they make you partner up. It's just so uncomfortable. I talk about this sort of a little bit in my special, but like, all right, partner up. And then you have to like choose a partner, and you kind of like look at the person next to you, and you're like, I guess we're partners. You know what I mean? And then you have to like hold each other a lot of the time. So if it's in yoga, maybe you're doing like handstand practice or whatever it is, and the person's holding your feet because you guys can't all do it yourself yet or whatever. So in this particular one, this class is mostly old ladies, but there's a couple like old men in it too. So I'm next to this old dude who, by the way, this guy kind of weirded me out one time. Not me specifically, but he was with this younger dude in class, and he kept being like, it's his first time doing yoga. And everybody was like, oh, it's so great. And it's like a nice environment, but he must have said it 3 times. Like as new people would come into the class, he said it. Then the teacher came in, he said it again. I'm like, okay, this is weird. I was like, do you like want to bang this guy? Or you just like really think this is cool? I couldn't really tell.
Did they have a relationship?
I have no idea. I don't know if they're
That's
friends.
weird.
I don't know if he brought him. I don't know if he just found that out. I don't know if he was attracted to him. I don't know if he was just friendly. I have no idea.
Interesting.
So anyway, I end up with this guy, with that dude, and it's fine. But what we needed to do was pretty weird. So it wasn't weird, but it was like, it made me uncomfortable. We were supposed to bend over. We were supposed to be in a child's pose. Are you familiar with a child's pose?
Yep.
So you're in a child's pose. I think it's pretty straightforward what a child's pose is. If anybody doesn't know, I guess just look it up. I think most of us know by now. And we were supposed to wrap a strap around the hips of the person and pull the person, right? So I went first. I'm just bending over in this child's pose. This guy's standing behind me, crouching over, pulling, which was awkward, but not that bad. But then I had to do it to him, and he kept being like, yeah, I gotta do it harder, harder. And I was like, dude, oh yeah. Like groaning, and like, I don't think it was sexual. He wasn't being like a creep, but it just made me so fucking uncomfortable, dude.
I bet, dude. Because I mean, in a way, you're like you're a private bedroom away from doing soft bondage with him by pulling and the grunting.
And I don't know, dude, it was just weird. I'm like, why are we doing this? I don't want to be. I would have much preferred to have been teamed up with like an old lady.
Not fun. How many classes a week do you take? In all of your like yoga, Pilates?
2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not doing much other shit because I'm just like, I don't know, dude. I get injured a lot. Like, and I know that must sound like I'm a fucking pussy. Like Hill Dog will kind of gaslight me until being like, oh, you're injured. I'm like, hey, don't forget, I played very high level of sports at one point. I'm not just this like pussy. Like my body's taken some damage. And, you know, if I go in and I do like a heavy lift, like a lot of the time, it hurts a lot after. So I'm like, fuck. So these are like low impact exercises, you know, I don't know. So it's just, I know that I can do them without hurting myself for the most part. So it's nice to at least have that to fall back on as I build toward being more confident doing other things.
That's good.
And it's just nice. It's like, I like yoga's nice too, because it's good for the brain, you know, kind of takes away your anxiety a lot. I find it's a nice thing. So Big G came and visited for the first time to the apartment. He is teaching on Mondays in the city, so he will occasionally want to link up. The time that he's available is like a little inconvenient, but it's fine. It's my old man. He's in town. I want to see him. I want to spend time with him. But sometimes he just like catches me literally in the middle of like the busiest time of my week. I hope he doesn't hear this and think that I don't want to do this anymore. I love meeting up with him. And it's not like we do it every week. And what a wonderful thing it is that I get to see him. So he's fun too, because like he just thinks everything's so great. So this neighborhood is great. I do love it. But he's like, oh man, he's like, let's go around. And sometimes, dude, the last few years when I hang out with him, I sometimes feel like he's my son. Like we go to this takeout sushi place that's like, it might as well be a ghost kitchen. That's how rarely I see people inside the restaurant. But it's decent. I've eaten there before. It's okay. As far as like takeout sushi goes, it's solid. And I was, you know, we wanted to maybe go to Sugarfish, but it was kind of far. I was busy. I was like, why don't we just go here? He's like, okay. We go. We have a great meal. He's up to his old tricks. He's turning around, trying to get more tea, more ginger. He starts trying to convince the guy to leave the teapot. He's like, leave the teapot. He's like, we drink a lot of tea. The guy's like, oh, it's hot. I'm like, guys. So we have the meal. It's great. We walk around the neighborhood. It's 3:00. Okay. We go and get ice cream after. He gets a big thing of ice cream at 3:00, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I just can't remember the last time I had a dessert like that in the middle of the day. It would just knock me out. I don't know. So anyway, so more so though of like the father-son reversal. I'm like, yeah, get your ice cream. And you know, but the only difference is that he's paying for all of this stuff, which again, what a treat. So we had ice cream. We walk around the neighborhood. We get back to where the sushi restaurant is, and there's people walking in, and he goes, he goes to say something, huh? And then he goes, and I'm like, what? He goes, oh, I was just going to tell them that they're going to love it in there.
Oh,
I was like, that's so cute, dude.
it is cute, dude. It's nice. It's nice, even if it's not reciprocated, just to make a comment like that to a stranger. At the very least, at worst, they'll ignore it.
Yeah, no.
But if not, you make their day with it.
I
And I
love
know
it.
you're not arguing against that.
Totally.
I love things like that.
very cute.
Very
And
cute.
then he's like, all right, I'm gonna smoke a cigar. So he busts out a cigar and he's like, I'm just gonna stand in front of your house and smoke the cigar. I'm like, all right, cool. So I go inside. I get a text from Hill Dog that she was asking me if we had pasta. We did not. She wanted angel hair. So I was like, oh, I'll get you some angel hair. So I walk out the door. I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm like, I'm gonna go get Hillary some angel hair. He goes, I'll come with you. He's like, I'm not doing anything. I'm like, right. So he comes with me. We're going to get angel hair. We look in a couple different places and they don't have it. Then we find a giant bag of assorted pastas on the street. And we both look at each other. We're like, should we check? And then we're like, no, we're not gonna. And we end up not finding the angel hair. And I just go home. But it was fun that he was just like, yeah, I'll just come. I was like, all right.
That's awesome.
And then he's like, hey, and I actually really appreciated this. He's like, don't be so anxious about life. He's like, just let it come at you. It's going to be fine. You're going to be fine. I was like, yeah, that's very reassuring. I appreciate it.
It's a nice parental instinct.
Yep. And then he drove off into the sunset. But I was happy that I got to see him. So
That's good, dude. Yeah. It's nice you guys are buddies like that. That's great.
Yeah. Always a good time.
Yeah.
All right. We got an email here. Bring it home here with this one. This is some more dad tales that go nicely with the pod. So this is what we do here. Recently, my dad shared with me 2 flight stories. For context, he has a lot of similar big G energy, and I'm sure if the two met, they'd get along like best friends. So, all right, I'll tell the first one. Maybe we'll save the second one for next time. So, mom and dad were flying back on a direct flight from London to Charlotte. They were in economy, but at the bulkhead for more legroom in the center section of a 242 seat layout. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. About an hour into the flight, my parents both exercised their right to recline their seats and were immediately ambushed from behind by 2 young ladies hitting the seats. As the assaults randomly continued, my dad calmly turned around and requested to please stop bumping my seat back. The one lady said, "You reclined and I can't use my laptop." And my dad replied that it is his right, as is with all passengers, to be able to recline. So let's pause for a second and talk about that. I've been hearing this from people lately, that reclining is like somehow fucked up. I don't know that I agree, but since I've been hearing that, what I'll do is when I'm about to recline, I'll tell the person behind me. I turn around and I go, is it cool if I? And sometimes they're like, hey, thanks for asking. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts?
I agree with the young ladies here because I typically book basic economy. And that's the least amount of space possible. And my legs are...
You end up in the middle too, usually, right?
Sometimes. My legs, I have no torso. I just have legs and then arms. And that's just like and I have a belly button and a couple nipples. But
a leg and arm man, Ryan Lynch's pizza pie.
Dairy-free slices only, by the way. No cheese.
No
anyway,
cheese.
So, I take offense when people recline. Because I understand the woman said she was using her laptop. Have you tried using your laptop on like an airplane in general?
So you can slide the tray forward.
You can slide the tray forward, but if they lean back ever so slightly, your screen needs to be open at somewhat of an acute angle,
right?
To which you do not have a good view. Mm-hmm. Of what you're doing on your screen. There's a glare and you can see all your disgusting fingerprints and your smudges and stuff. So I do not like when people recline, so much so that at the beginning of a flight or like during takeoff, usually people will recline once they make the announcement that, hey, you can start doing all the stuff you couldn't do before. I will put my knees up and that kind of gives them physical feedback as to how far the reclining can go. So they'll push the button and recline. My knees will be up, and I do it every time.
And they just think that they can't go further.
And I let them go just a little bit. So I probably let them go like 15, 20% of what they actually are capable of doing because I need the space. Mm-hmm. Is that right? No. Do they have the right to recline? Yes. But, I also have the right to do whatever I want with my legs.
You have the right to fight for your right to party.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I didn't know this technique existed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder if anyone has ever had their laptop smashed by someone aggressively reclining. It must have happened because it's possible. Mm-hmm. If your laptop were to be perfectly situated, it could literally just detach it from its connection.
Oh my! If you had it opened, like an obtuse angle, that'd be terrible. Or what would happen here? You have your laptop let's say you have your iPad because it's smaller tray. Let's say you have your iPad and you're watching a movie on it. And it's on that like stand up display mode or whatever. It's like leaning up, and then you have a cup of water, and then the person reclines really fast, and then it knocks over the water and pours onto your iPad. That's fucked up.
But why? But the iPad would be able to handle it. A laptop wouldn't.
No, I'm talking about the cup. The cup falls onto the iPad.
Yeah.
Because of the shaking.
That sucks because you're wet. But
no.
But why is the iPad specific instead of a laptop?
It could be a laptop. I don't think you can fit a laptop and the water in the dedicated little water holder area.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I don't think you could do both.
I see what you're saying. I don't think that the reclining would hit the iPad. I don't think it's high enough.
All right, well then.
I don't know for sure. And there's big iPads too.
Yeah.
Like one of the tablets.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Regardless.
But yeah, no, that would suck. But the one thing that would give me comfort there is that iPads are water resistant and the keyboard is not attached to it. It's usually an add-on keyboard. It's like part of the case. So fear not, Lynch. If you're thinking about busting open your iPad, I think you might be in a better spot.
We'll see.
But one thing that I do, on some international flights, the reclining is so good in coach that they actually make you decline when the meal service happens. So if you fell asleep, they will wake you up to move your seat up. And once I've been woken up, it can be hard for me to fall back asleep. So if I'm tired and I think I'm going to fall asleep before that, I won't recline. That's all I'm saying.
Uninterrupted.
So anyway, I'm really jealous of the people who fall asleep on before the plane takes off and stay asleep. It's such a crazy skill. Okay, back to the story. Good luck to all you guys with your laptops sitting in coach, and try not to have them broken. So anyway, the dad replied, it is his right to recline. She disagreed and scoffed at my parents. Bumps continued, and my dad requested a glass of water from the flight attendant. After the next bump, he stood up and said, if you bump either of our seats again, you'll get a face full of water. And the lady smirked. Within seconds, a massive bump was delivered, and without hesitation, he threw the water behind him, covering her and her electronics.
Oh my God.
Obviously upset, the girl's commotion attracted the flight attendant. When she stated her claim that my dad threw water in her face, he said, I'm sorry, but sometimes if I'm bumped, I get spasms. And I was holding my cup when she hit the seat and I had a spasm. She called him a liar, and the flight attendant sided with my elderly parents and told the ladies to calm down. Once the flight attendants left, he said, do it again and I'll dump it directly on your computer.
Oh my.
What are they going to do? Land this thing in the water? We're over the Atlantic. The rest of the flight, there wasn't even as much as a nudge. Lady next to my parents said, good for you, and winked with a smile. The girls were 18 and 20, for context.
Oh my God.
That's insane,
Your
bro.
dad is my hero.
Your dad's a legend.
I would typically side with the girls, but I love how your dad did that.
Your dad's a savage. Dude.
That was awesome.
Your dad is a savage.
I bet your mom really liked that too.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
attractive.
but that was hot.
That's attractive.
That's insane. The threat. I'm sorry, I have spasms. I'll do it again if you fucking nudge my back. That's amazing.
Unbelievable. Well, everybody, be careful out there in the skies. Be careful out there in general.
In your reformer class, make sure you check your pants.
Check your pants
before you work out. No orifices open.
That's such a terrible word.
We don't want to see it.
We don't want to see inside of you.
No.
So be careful and keep doing it. Keep doing it big. Partner up with care and come see a show, guys. I am going to be at the House of Comedy in Detroit the 3rd and the 4th of May. June 1st, I'm at Laugh Boston, 2 shows. That's going to be a hot one. And then the 19th, Portland, Oregon. The 3rd of August, Pasadena, California at the Ice House. NotJulio.com for tickets. Hit us up at Oops the Podcast, oopspodcast@gmail.com for more emails and stories. Follow me at NotJulio, NotJulioG on Snapchat and TikTok. Lynch, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me. I'll be performing in Hoboken on April 26th. That's a Friday. More details to come. And then, check me out at Ryan is Really Polite on all social, Twitter, Ryan is Polite. And love hanging out with you guys. So we'll see you next time.
See you next time.